Hi everyone, we're Mimicker, here to introduce all kinds of knowledge, even the stuff we didn't know about.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a truly monumental work of modern literature, a book that really captivated the world, but also, interestingly, sparked intense controversy right in its homeland. Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things. This isn't merely a story, it's a profound and, frankly, unflinching exploration of love, loss, and the crushing weight of societal rules. For this deep dive, we've meticulously pulled together insights from a professional literary review, unpacking its intricate narrative architecture, its profound thematic depth, and its really daring linguistic innovations.
Yeah, and what truly distinguishes this source material, I think, is how it frames Roy's novel. It's not just called a profound tapestry of tragedy and resistance, which it is, but also a genuine literary reckoning.
A reckoning. Okay.
Exactly. So our mission today is to guide you through how Roy masterfully achieved this, turning what appears on the surface to be, a deeply personal family drama into this blistering social critique that still resonates really powerfully decades later.
Right. So our journey will take us deep into the lush, complex landscape of Kerala, India. We'll meet the unforgettable Ipe family, and we'll uncover how the seemingly small things in their lives, a whispered word, maybe a forbidden touch, an unwritten social code, how these can trigger the most immense and devastating tragedies. So get ready for a dive rich with surprising facts and I think some really profound insights that might challenge your perceptions of power, love, and identity. Okay, so to begin, let's set the stage a bit. When The God of Small Things burst onto the literary scene back in 1997, it was, well, an immediate sensation. What was it about this novel that generated such rapid and widespread acclaim across the globe?
Its emergence was nothing short of extraordinary, really. In the very year of its publication, 1997, it gets awarded the Booker Prize.
Wow, straight away.
Straight away. That's one of the most prestigious literary awards globally,
Yeah.
It just instantly catapulted Roy onto the international stage. But its success wasn't just confined to critical circles. It quickly became a New York Times bestseller.
Right, so readers loved it too.
Exactly. It showed this immediate connection with a vast readership. And then, to top it off, Time magazine honored it as one of their top 5 books of the year. This kind of rapid, broad, and multifaceted success for a debut novel, especially one with such distinct cultural specifics, that's genuinely rare. It really speaks volumes about its power.
And it wasn't just a flash in the pan, was it? Our sources emphasized that this rapid international acclaim, especially for a book so deeply rooted in a specific cultural context like India, was particularly noteworthy.
Oh, absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this level of rapid international recognition for a debut, one so intricately woven into the cultural fabric of a specific place, it's truly remarkable. It immediately signaled its universal resonance. The novel proved that its exploration of human suffering, injustice, love, loss. It transcended geographical and cultural boundaries. It tapped into these fundamental human experiences that resonated deeply with readers worldwide. It showed its impact extended far beyond its immediate Indian setting. It's really a testament to Roy's ability to craft a story that feels both intimately specific and universally profound.
So with such a profound and impactful story, where exactly does it unfold? And who are the central figures we'll be following through this deeply emotional journey?
Okay, so the novel is primarily set in this vividly imagined, though fictional, village called Ayamanam. It's nestled in the lush tropical landscape of Kerala, down in southern India.
Kerala itself feels important, though, right? More than just scenery.
Definitely. Kerala itself is far more than just a setting. Our sources really underscore its importance as an almost active character. Its landscape, its climate, its unique social and political history. All of it influences the mood, the social dynamics, the very unfolding of the story. It's a place of, breathtaking natural beauty, but also one of deep-seated traditions, complex social hierarchies, and a history rich with both ancient customs and modern political movements. It's all in there.
The time frame, the way the story's told, it's quite specific and non-linear. That feels like a deliberate choice, not just telling it A to B.
That's absolutely right. The really tragic events that unravel the family's world, they unfold over this intense, concentrated period of just 2 weeks in late 1969.
Just 2 weeks, wow.
Yeah, but Roy masterfully interweaves these immediate events with recollections and fragmented memories from 1993. This constant temporal oscillation, this back and forth, isn't just a narrative device. It profoundly shapes how you, the listener, experience the story.
How so?
Well, it emphasizes how the past is never truly past, It constantly echoes, it haunts, it indelibly shapes the characters' present lives. It creates this powerful sense of inevitability, making you feel the weight of what's to come long before you fully grasp the horrific
So
detail.
you kind of know something awful is coming, even if you don't know what.
Precisely.
And at the very heart of this dual timeline, navigating these complex social currents, we find the tragic core of the story, the Ipe family.
Yes, the central figures are the divorced mother, Amu, and her fraternal or dizygotic twins, Esta and Rahel. These three become the emotional and narrative focal point through which the devastating consequences of rigid societal rules are explored. Their lives are intricately intertwined with the small things, those seemingly minor transgressions, the unwritten laws, the casual cruelties that ultimately lead to monumental and heartbreaking tragedy. Their experiences really serve as a microcosm for the larger social critiques Roy lays bare.
It makes you wonder then why Roy chose such specific dates, 1969, 1993, and a fictionalized setting, Ayaminem, within a very real place like Kerala. It feels like a profoundly deliberate choice, not just, making things up.
Oh, it is. It's definitely a highly calculated artistic choice. By choosing a fictionalized setting like Ayaminem within the very real and culturally rich backdrop of Kerala, Roy gains this unique blend of historical authenticity and creative freedom.
Okay.
Our sources suggest this allows her to explore what they describe as unsettling social realities, the specific nuances of caste, patriarchy, the lingering colonial legacies, without being constrained by direct reportage or needing strict historical accuracy in every single detail.
Right. She can focus on the essence of the issues.
Exactly. She can distill and amplify the thematic truths about these oppressive forces, giving them a universal resonance while grounding them deeply in an authentic, specific Indian experience. And the specific dates, 1969 and 1993, they let her explore the immediate, explosive impact of events versus the long-term, festering wounds of memory, trauma, and societal consequences. It creates this multi-layered understanding of cause and effect.
Our sources describe Roy's novel as standing out for its poetic style, its subversive narrative structures, and its inventive linguistic artistry. How do these foundational elements contribute to the novel's layered exploration of love, loss, and that destructive weight of social rules?
Well, these stylistic and structural elements are not just flourishes. They are absolutely foundational to the novel's immense power and its critical impact. Roy isn't simply telling a story. She is, in a way, constructing an experience for the reader.
Okay, constructing an experience.
Yeah, the poetic style imbues every sentence, every description, with this profound emotional resonance, making you, the reader, feel the tragedy and the beauty on a really visceral level. The subversive narrative structures, which we should definitely unpack more deeply actively, challenge conventional storytelling. They plunge you directly into the fragmented, disorienting reality of trauma and memory.
And the language. The inventive linguistic artistry.
That isn't merely aesthetic, it's a direct, powerful act of resistance. It literally transforms the very language used to tell the story into a tool of subversion.
So all of this works together to underscore the novel's core themes. The source explicitly highlights the destructive weight of social rules, pointing out caste hierarchies, pervasive patriarchy, and the lingering colonial legacies as primary driving forces. These stylistic choices aren't just artistic then, but essential tools for dissecting these forces.
Precisely. The novel uses every tool in its literary arsenal to meticulously demonstrate how these big things, the deeply entrenched caste system, the pervasive reach of patriarchy, the lingering shadow of colonial rule, exert their power through seemingly small rules, seemingly minor actions, and seemingly insignificant transgressions. It's a profound, biting critique of how deeply embedded societal norms dictate individual lives, often with truly devastating and irreversible consequences. These elements combine to create a deeply immersive, often unsettling, and ultimately unforgettable exploration of how love is tragically constrained, how loss is amplified, and how individual lives are shaped, distorted, and often crushed by an unyielding, oppressive social framework. Hashtag tag 2, narrative mastery and sensory worlds.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Wow.
Shifting our focus now, one of the first things that truly grabs you about The God of Small Things is its incredibly distinctive narrative structure. Our sources describe it with terms like looping, nonlinear, and even U-shaped or circular. For you, our listener, what exactly does it mean when you're immersed in the pages? How does it actually feel to read?
What truly distinguishes this U-shaped structure, as they call it, is that it's far more than a stylistic choice. It's intricately interwoven with the very fabric of the story's themes, particularly trauma and memory. The novel doesn't open with a conventional chronological beginning.
Yeah, straight line.
Not at all. Instead, Roy immediately thrusts you into the devastating aftermath of Sophie Mole's death. It's almost like starting a mystery novel by showing you the tragic conclusion first.
Right. Okay.
From there, the narrative doesn't move forward linearly. Instead, it gradually, almost painstakingly, peels back the layers, revealing the tragic events that led to that moment through fragmented recollections, carefully placed flashbacks, and a non-sequential accumulation of details. This means the full truth, the complete devastating picture of what happened, only truly comes into focus as you approach the novel's very conclusion.
So it sounds like it's not just a puzzle for the reader to solve, but that this fractured, disjointed structure genuinely mirrors the experience of trauma itself.
Right.
You're not just a passive observer. You're actively invited to piece together a buried past, almost alongside the adult Raoul, who is herself trying to make sense of everything.
You've hit on a crucial point there. It's an immersive experience where you're living through the disjointed nature of memory and its haunting aftermath. This constant oscillation between 1969, where the core, life-altering events unfold, and 1993, when the adult Rahul is looking back, creates this haunting sense of inevitability. It underscores how history, both personal and societal, relentlessly shapes the present, how the past is never truly over.
It's always there.
Always. It's like the trauma of 1969 isn't just a memory for the characters, it's a living, breathing entity that continues to impact their current lives in 1993. It makes you feel the weight of what's coming, the sense of doom, long before you fully understand the specifics. You're invited to actively participate in the agonizing uncovering of the truth, rather than simply being passively told it. This subjective, fragmented approach makes the tragedy even more impactful because you've lived the slow, painful reveal alongside the characters.
Beyond its structure, the novel is renowned for its poetic prose and how it crafts these incredible sensory landscapes. Our source uses vivid phrases like lush, immersive, and profoundly tactile. Can you maybe paint a more detailed picture of how Roy uses language to bring Kerala to life, making it almost breathe off the page, and how this adds to the novel's atmosphere?
Roy's language is truly extraordinary in its ability to evoke a place with such intensity. Kerala's environment emerges as far more than a mere backdrop. It's an active, vibrant, almost sentient presence in the narrative.
Sentient, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't just reflect the character's innermost emotions, it also amplifies the broader societal tensions simmering beneath the surface. Our sources accurately describe the writing as lush, immersive, and profoundly tactile. That means you don't just read about the place. You can almost feel the oppressive humidity clinging to your skin, smell the pungent spices carried on the breeze, hear the drone of cicadas in the incessant monsoon rains, and maybe even taste the sweet, sour tang of pickles from Mamachi's factory.
And the novel seems to be bursting with sensory imagery, metaphors, similes. The source mentions phrases like the descriptions being deliciously decadent and a feeling that slips its slimy tentacles around your heart. Those are incredibly evocative and, well, a bit unsettling, too.
They are, and that's intentional. Roy's mastery of language allows her to create this unique mood and atmosphere that is both beautiful and deeply unsettling. These rich, often visceral descriptions are frequently placed right at the beginning of chapters, almost acting as overtures.
Setting the tone.
Exactly. Our source actually calls them the soul of the novel because they don't just set the scene. They prepare you for the emotional weight, the historical burdens, and the social complexities to come. The landscape itself, with its overgrown, suffocating beauty, becomes a powerful, living metaphor. It represents the pervasive decay within society, the sense of constraint that stifles individuals, and the oppressive weight of tradition and historical sorrow.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about the encroaching jungle or the unpredictable river. They often mirror the uncontrolled chaos and decay within the family and society. They embody both the exquisite beauty of Kerala and its capacity for suffocation and tragedy.
It makes you wonder, then, how this landscape transcends mere description to become almost a character in itself. It sounds like it's more than just a pretty picture or a simple setting.
It's much, much more. Roy's depiction of Kerala isn't just about showing us a place, it's about making you feel the place, and in doing so, connecting you intimately to the character's internal states and the rigid societal laws that bind them.
So the setting reflects the inner world.
Absolutely. The decaying bungalows, the oppressive, humid heat, the overflowing, often dangerous rivers, the pervasive insect life. All of these environmental elements mirror the emotional and social confinement experienced by the Ait family. For example, the lush, overgrown nature, while beautiful, can also represent an unchecked, suffocating force, much like the rigid, unyielding social rules that stifle individual lives. It foreshadows decay, reflects emotional turmoil, and reinforces the pervasive sense of entrapment and slow ruin. In essence, the environment becomes an active participant in the unfolding tragedy, often acting as a silent, powerful antagonist rather than just a passive setting. #3, the unflinching gaze and language as rebellion.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Much of the novel unfolds through the keen minds and clear eyes of the fraternal twins, Esta and Rahel. What makes this child's perspective so significant and powerful in telling such a complex, deeply adult story about societal rules and their consequences?
Using the twins' perspective is, well, it's an absolute stroke of genius. It provides this unfiltered lens. Their innocent yet piercing observations lay bare adult hypocrisy, expose social injustice, and highlight the sheer absurdity of many societal norms.
Because they don't have the adult filters yet.
Exactly. They don't possess the learned filters, the moral varnish, or the self-serving rationalizations that adults often do, so their observations are brutally honest and direct. This allows Roy to cut through pretenses and show you, the reader, the raw, often uncomfortable truth of the world they inhabit.
So it's a way to vividly expose how deeply rigid social codes truly inflict harm, especially on the most vulnerable. It feels like their innocence actually sharpens the critique.
Precisely. This child's perspective makes it devastatingly clear how deeply entrenched social rules inflict profound and often irreversible harm, particularly on the most vulnerable members of society, children like themselves, and those like Velutha who exist outside the acceptable social hierarchy. And perhaps most poignantly, it illustrates how trauma, born from these societal cruelties, abruptly and irrevocably ends childhood's fragile sanctuary. The central tragedy within the novel explicitly marks what our sources call the declared end of their childhoods, a moment where innocence is not just lost, but brutally annihilated.
In essence, then, the child's perspective serves as a powerful critical tool.
Mhm.
It's almost as if they strip away all the adult excuses and reveal the inherent cruelty of the big things like caste, patriarchy, colonialism, through eyes that simply haven't learned to compromise or rationalize injustice yet.
Yeah, their inability to fully comprehend the adult world makes its rules seem even more senseless and cruel. If we connect this to the bigger picture, using children as narrators allows Roy to present incredibly complex social critiques in a raw, unfiltered, and deeply empathetic way. Their innocence highlights the true horror and sheer irrationality of the adult world's injustices and the indelible, often psychological impact these systems have. It makes the reader feel the injustice more keenly, more viscerally, because it's seen through a lens of purity that is then brutally shattered.
Yeah.
It underscores the profound vulnerability of those caught in the crosshairs of rigid social norms.
Beyond the perspective, Roy's use of language is incredibly daring and unconventional. Our sources state she deliberately bends English and transforms the colonizer's tongue into a vehicle of resistance. How does she actually do this? What does it sound like on the page? What's the deeper meaning behind these linguistic choices?
Roy's linguistic choices are not only aesthetically striking, but profoundly intentional. They serve as a form of intellectual and really post-colonial rebellion. She employs what our sources term innovative English by deliberately using non-standard spelling. Things like America instead of America, mint for mine, knickers for knickers, or thank God for thank God. She also inverts words like Senetalo policeman spelled backward.
Ah, okay.
And she uses strategic capitalization for emphasis. You'll see phrases like be Indian, buy Indian, or doctor is in, doctor is out. These are not errors or quirks.
So it's a deliberate artistic choice, almost like a calculated violation of the rules of language. It forces the reader to pause and reconsider, doesn't it?
Precisely. Our sources explain that these choices are a deliberate violation of the rules of English grammar, designed to disorient and re-engage the reader. This creates a truly unique rhythm to her prose, often described as being akin to lingering or unrhymed poetry, giving the text a distinctive sonic quality.
But there's more to it than just sound, right?
Yeah.
The resistance part.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. More than that, this linguistic experimentation is a profound form of post-colonial resistance. By deliberately violating the colonizer's language, Rhodey reclaims linguistic agency. She asserts an indigenous voice and perspective, challenging the very power structures that English traditionally represented as a tool of empire. She turns the language against itself, making the medium as powerful and subversive as the message it conveys.
Wow.
It's a masterful act of linguistic decolonization, proving that language itself can be a dynamic character in the narrative of subversion and identity.
The novel also seamlessly weaves in Indian English idioms and Malayalam terms, the local language of Kerala. What's the cumulative effect of this linguistic hybridity on the story and the reader's experience?
This fusion is absolutely crucial for the novel's authenticity and its deep resonance. It grounds the story profoundly in its specific cultural and linguistic context, allowing the narrative to breathe with the true sounds, rhythms, and thought patterns of Kerala. This multilingual approach not only reflects the inherent linguistic diversity of India, but also makes the novel particularly resonant for native Indian English speakers who navigate such linguistic fluidity in their daily lives.
Right. It feels more real to them.
Exactly. And significantly, it implicitly challenges the universality and perceived superiority of standard English as the sole legitimate medium for literary expression. It celebrates the vibrancy and legitimacy of hybridized language forms, showcasing how new, powerful literary voices can emerge from such cultural intersections.
And finally, how does language, in Roy's hands, serve as a marker of social class and that lingering colonial mentality within the novel's world? It seems to be more than just vocabulary, it's a symbol.
The way characters speak in this novel is deeply intertwined with their social status and their internalized identities. Take Baby Kuchama's affected English, for example. She often mixes it with Hindi phrases she barely understands. This isn't just a personal quirk. Our sources identify it as a powerful indicator of her social class, her aspirations, and the profound cultural chasm that exists between the English-speaking elites and others in Indian society. The novel masterfully satirizes what the sources describe as the novel's portrayal of an Indian obsession with proper English, depicting it as a symbol of an internalized colonial mentality.
Wanting to sound properly British, maybe.
Sort of, yes. This quest for authentic English, often meaning British English, ultimately reinforces social stratification and demonstrates the lasting psychological impact of colonialism. Language becomes a tool for maintaining old hierarchies, for proving one's worthiness or progressiveness long after political independence. This really highlights a critical question about how colonial power continues to exert its insidious influence even after political independence is achieved. The emphasis within the novel on real, authentic English reveals a deep psychological impact, where language is not just about communication, but becomes a tool for maintaining old hierarchies, for creating division, and for reinforcing a subtle form of internal oppression. It's not just what you say, but how you say it, and in what language that defines your place in society. #tag VI. Unpacking the big themes through small details.
Okay, so drawing together these threads of narrative, language, and perspective, the title itself, The God of Small Things, is incredibly symbolic, isn't it? It seems to encapsulate so much of what we've discussed. Our sources detail how the novel interweaves several big things, those immense, oppressive societal structures, with the small things that ultimately trigger immense personal and collective tragedy. Let's start with the unyielding shackles of caste and class. How does Roy portray this, especially through Velutha's story, and what makes it such a potent critique?
The caste system is truly a central, brutally oppressive force in the novel. Velutha's identity as an untouchable, specifically a Dalit or Paravan, which is a term for a lower caste, is paramount to understanding its devastating impact. The novel offers a scathing and deeply empathetic critique of this rigid social stratification, demonstrating how it dictates fate with brutal efficiency, often overriding personal merit, love, or even basic human dignity. His forbidden love with Amu, which is at the heart of the novel's tragedy, is deemed an unforgivable transgression precisely because of his caste status. This love laws violation leads directly to his brutal, unjust death, a stark demonstration of how systemic prejudice can lead to violence.
And it's not just the overt societal rules that are at play here, but the insidious internalized prejudice that permeates different levels of society, isn't it? It seems to infect even those who should know better, like members of the Ipe family themselves.
Exactly. Our sources highlight how caste discrimination is perpetuated not only by the broader official societal structures, but also internalized by characters within the family, like the seemingly progressive Mamachi and the, well, frankly snobbish Baby Kuchama. They, despite their own sufferings under other oppressive systems like patriarchy, uphold these ancient oppressive norms, believing them to be natural or necessary.
And the betrayal by the Communist Party, that seems particularly sharp.
Yes, what's even more profoundly disturbing and a key part of Roy's critique is Velutha's betrayal by the local Communist Party. This incident, where political expediency and fear of social backlash trump justice and their proclaimed ideals of equality, underscores the deep-rooted, pervasive nature of caste prejudice. It shows that caste prejudice persists even within supposedly progressive political movements, revealing its almost unbreakable grip on the social psyche. What's truly unsettling here is how the novel exposes the profound hypocrisy of a society that claims to be moving forward politically and socially, but remains mired in ancient, cruel prejudices. These rules aren't abstract concepts or dusty traditions. They're brutally enforced realities that determine life and death, dignity, and utter dehumanization. The novel lays bare how a powerful, ancient social system can crush individual lives regardless of personal merit, intellectual curiosity, or even declared political ideology. It's a chilling reminder of the enduring power of ingrained prejudice.
Then there's the theme of forbidden love and its catastrophic echoes. Amu and Velutha's affair is undeniably central to this, sparking a chain reaction that unravels everything.
Their relationship is indeed the novel's central and most devastating transgression against what Roy famously calls the love laws.
The love laws.
Yeah, these are the unwritten, unspoken, yet brutally enforced rules that govern permissible relationships. They rigidly delineate who can love whom, how much, and under what conditions. Amu and Velutha's love is depicted as pure, sincere, and deeply felt, yet it is explicitly deemed unacceptable by social standards, solely because of Velutha's caste and Amu's status as a divorced woman. This perceived violation of the love laws ignites an unstoppable, devastating chain of tragic events, leading directly to Velutha's brutal murder and, tragically, Amu's subsequent lonely death, outcast by her own family.
And it's not just their relationship that's constrained or distorted as it seems to ripple out, affecting other forms of love and familial bonds as well.
It does. The novel vividly suggests that when love attempts to cross these rigid social boundaries of caste, class, gender, tradition, it doesn't just face obstacles, it often becomes a destructive force.
Right.
But crucially, it's not because of love itself, but because of the severe and violent societal backlash against it.
Right, the reaction is the destructive part.
Exactly. Our sources emphasize that the immense power of social norms to crush individual desire and agency is what's truly on display. The pervasive social framework and the trauma that results from violating it also constrain or distort other forms of love within the Ipe family. This includes familial bonds that fray under stress, the deep, complicated love between the twins that is forever marked by the tragedy.
And their later encounter.
Yes, and even the later, complex and deeply tragic incestuous encounter between the adult twins, Esta and Rahel. Their relationship, while disturbing, is presented not as a romantic union, but as this desperate, almost primal attempt to find solace and connection within a world shattered by trauma and broken love laws. It highlights how far-reaching the consequences of the initial transgression become.
This brings up a vital query. Why does the novel suggest that when love crosses social boundaries, it becomes a destructive force? It's not love itself, but the severe and violent societal backlash against it, highlighting the immense power of social norms to crush individual desire.
Absolutely. The novel isn't demonizing love, it's offering a stark, unflinching portrayal of the devastatingly high cost of transgression against deeply ingrained societal norms. The destruction we witness is a direct consequence of society's furious, often violent retribution. It underscores how the ripple effects of initial trauma and societal judgment can distort all forms of human connection and autonomy. The novel is dissecting the very concept of connection itself and demonstrating how societal laws can arbitrarily deem any form of genuine affection unacceptable if it dares to defy their boundaries. It's a powerful and chilling commentary on how human beings invent rules that can ultimately destroy them.
Moving on now to the colonial shadow and post-colonial identity. Even after India gained political independence from British rule, how does the novel show the lasting and often insidious impact of British colonialism on Indian society and individual lives? It seems it was more than just a political shift, but a deep cultural and psychological one.
You've precisely captured it. The novel vividly illustrates that even decades after India achieved political independence in 1947, the remnants of British rule continued to exert a profound and often insidious influence on Indian culture, social structures, and the individual psyche. Characters like Baby Kochama, for instance, are meticulously portrayed as grappling with this legacy. Her obsession with Western culture, particularly her pronounced Anglophilia, her affected English accent, her disdain for Indian customs, symbolizes the deep internalization of colonial attitudes and values.
So it's not just personal preference, it's a symptom.
Exactly. It's a symptom of a broader societal conflict where Western is often equated with superior.
So Roy is fundamentally critiquing how colonialism didn't just alter India's political landscape, but profoundly reshaped its cultural identity, leaving a conflicted society.
Exactly. Roy critiques how colonialism fundamentally altered India's cultural landscape, leaving behind a society deeply conflicted, caught between its indigenous traditions and the lingering, often insidious influence of colonial ideals and values. Furthermore, our sources emphasize that the continued presence of legal and social systems, many of which were introduced during the colonial era, persists in perpetuating inequality and injustice. This demonstrates a crucial and painful point. Political independence, while vital, doesn't automatically equate to true cultural, social, or psychological liberation. The rules of power, the hierarchies established by colonialism, can persist in subtle, often internalized ways, creating new forms of oppression, identity crises, and a lingering sense of self-doubt within the formerly colonized society. It's remarkable how the novel suggests that post-independence India is still in many ways traumatized by its colonial legacy. The rules of power aren't just about overt governance, they can persist in subtle, insidious ways, shaping aspirations, reinforcing class divisions, and creating profound identity crises. It's a powerful argument that true freedom isn't just about flags and governments. It's about deeply ingrained social and psychological shifts that often take generations to overcome, if they ever truly are.
The novel also powerfully explores patriarchy, gender, and female resilience. How are the female characters across generations affected by these systemic oppressions, and what subtle forms of resistance do they exhibit? We see this starkly in Mamachi, Amu, and Rahel.
Indeed, the novel offers a scathing, multi-generational portrayal of the pervasive oppression and profound suffering faced by its female characters. Mamachi, for example, endures years of physical and mental abuse from her husband, Papachi, illustrating how deeply entrenched spousal abuse and the patriarchal ideal of male dominance were within that societal context.
And Amu.
Amu, her daughter, faces a different but equally devastating form of disempowerment. She is denied a higher education, scorned as a divorcee, stripped of her inheritance rights, and essentially rendered powerless and without dignity within her own family and wider society. And then there's Rahel, Amu's daughter, who later breaks the love laws herself in her adult life, echoing her mother's fate in many tragic ways, demonstrating the cyclical nature of female subjugation.
And the double standards are just glaringly obvious, aren't they? Amu's brother, Chaco, also divorces, but his experience is vastly different from hers. It highlights a deeply unfair system.
The novel highlights these pervasive double standards with stark clarity. Amu's brother, Chaco, for instance, also divorces his British wife, Margaret, but his actions are met with social acceptance, continued privilege, and even a certain status within the family.
But Amu is punished.
Amu, on the other hand, is ostracized, effectively disinherited, and rendered powerless. This profound contrast powerfully illustrates how patriarchy dictates choices, limits freedom, and applies vastly different moral judgments specifically for women, effectively making them second-class citizens within their own homes and communities. It's a system designed to control female agency.
Despite all this suffering and systemic disempowerment, there are often subtle moments of agency and resistance from these female characters. They aren't simply passive victims, are they? Even when their acts of defiance lead to further suffering.
You're right, they are not passive. The novel subtly but powerfully highlights moments of resilience and quiet defiance that underscore the enduring struggle for autonomy. Mamachi, for instance, despite her physical abuse and emotional confinement, finds a quiet strength and a form of economic agency in successfully running the family pickle factory, establishing a domain where she exerts control.
Right, the pickle factory.
Mamu, in her own fierce way, defies her circumstances by leaving her abusive husband and later pursuing love outside societal norms, even though it tragically leads to her downfall. And Rahel, in her adult life, embodies an unconventional path, resisting the societal molds and expectations that tried to contain her, living a life that, while marked by trauma, refuses to fully conform. While these acts often lead to profound suffering and isolation, they are vital demonstrations of individual spirit against an oppressive system.
The theme of childhood innocence, memory, and enduring trauma is crucial, especially through the twins' experiences. It sounds like childhood in this novel is anything but an idyllic haven. It's more like a battleground.
It's indeed far from idyllic. The novel extensively uses the experiences of Esta and Rahel to delve into the profound impact of loss and trauma, meticulously demonstrating the indelible mark the past leaves on the developing psyche. The deaths of Sophie Mall and Velutha are depicted as having an absolutely profound and instantaneous psychological impact on the twins, explicitly marking what our sources describe as the declared end of their childhood.
The end of childhood.
Yeah, their innocence is not simply lost, it is brutally, irrevocably destroyed by the cruelties of the adult world and the systemic injustices they witness.
In the fragmented narrative we discussed earlier, with its constant shifts in time, really plays into this understanding of trauma and memory, doesn't it?
Sure.
It reflects the way fractured memories surfaced.
It's intrinsically linked to this theme. The fragmented narrative structure, with its oscillation between 1969 and 1993, and the accumulation of personal memories and emotional repression are crucial to understanding the twins' adult lives. This structure powerfully illustrates how unresolved childhood trauma doesn't just fade away. It manifests years later, shaping their identities, their relationships, and their overall well-being in pervasive and often damaging ways. Childhood in this novel is explicitly not presented as a haven. Instead, it is portrayed as a crucible where innocence is savagely destroyed by adult cruelty, societal injustice, and devastating loss, leaving deep, lasting psychological wounds that surface as fragmented memories, emotional repression, and lifelong trauma. The novel makes it clear that these early wounds profoundly define their adult existence. It's remarkable how the small things of childhood, the whispered lies, the ignored pleas, the moments when innocence is shattered by adult actions or societal dictates, become the big things that define adult pain and identity. This vividly shows the indelible mark of the past on the developing psyche, making it clear that childhood wounds, especially those inflicted by societal injustice, are not easily healed or forgotten. They continue to shape destinies long after the events themselves.
Finally, let's bring it all back to the profound philosophy behind the God of small things itself. What does this title truly symbolize, encapsulating everything we've discussed about the novel's core message?
The novel's title is deeply symbolic and serves as a profound, almost cynical commentary on its core message. It illuminates how seemingly insignificant details, minor transgressions, and everyday events can, with chilling inevitability, lead to profound and devastating consequences. It forces us to confront what truly governs human fate and suffering. It's a direct challenge to the notion that only grand actions or sweeping historical forces shape our lives.
So those small things aren't just trivial, are they? They're revealed as the real, insidious levers of power that control people's lives.
Precisely. The novel posits that small things, a forbidden touch between Amu and Velutha, a casual lie told by baby Kochama to protect her perceived social standing, a seemingly minor social slight, or an unwritten social rule about who can love whom, these are the insidious, often overlooked mechanisms through which the big things like the caste system, pervasive patriarchy, historical injustice, and political corruption exert their oppressive power. These small things systematically erode human dignity and destroy individual lives. They are the subtle, everyday manifestations of deep-seated injustices.
And the title itself feels almost like a sardonic commentary, doesn't it? Suggesting that the true controlling force in society isn't grand ideologies or explicit laws, but these subtle, often overlooked rules and details of everyday life that hold immense destructive power.
It is indeed a deeply sardonic commentary. The title implicitly suggests that the true controlling force in society isn't necessarily grand ideologies or explicitly written laws, which often seem just on the surface. Instead, it argues that real power is vested in the arbitrary and destructive force of these small, often overlooked details, these unwritten social codes, and the seemingly minor infractions that trigger disproportionately massive consequences. It highlights how these seemingly trivial acts or subtle social norms can dictate human fate and suffering, revealing the insidious, almost invisible nature of oppression that often hides in plain sight in the small things. It's a profound and unsettling reminder that even the smallest acts of defiance or conformity can have monumental, life-altering repercussions, making us reconsider where true power truly resides.
Now, we arrive at a particularly fascinating juncture. The God of Small Things received immediate international acclaim, as we've discussed, but simultaneously faced intense domestic controversy and a ban in Roy's home state of Kerala. What was the international reaction like, especially in such stark contrast to its reception at home?
Well, the international reaction was overwhelmingly positive. It was a veritable cascade of accolades that solidified its place in global literature. As we've noted, it won the prestigious Booker Prize in 1997, immediately becoming a literary landmark.
Right.
It quickly soared to the top of the New York Times bestseller list and was named one of Time magazine's top 5 books of the year. This widespread global success highlights how the novel transcended its specific Indian setting to speak to universal human experiences. It resonated deeply with readers worldwide who could connect with its powerful portrayal of suffering, injustice, the complexities of family relationships, and the enduring nature of human resilience, regardless of their cultural background. The sheer artistry of its prose and the emotional depth of its storytelling really ensured its impact.
It makes you truly wonder, then, what exactly allowed it to resonate so widely, crossing those vast cultural and linguistic barriers with such ease.
Its exploration of universal human suffering and injustice proved its impact extends far beyond its local roots to encompass the universal human experience of oppression, of forbidden love, and of the profound destruction of innocence. It tapped into deeply profound shared human emotions and struggles that are not limited by geography or cultural context.
So the themes just hit home everywhere.
Pretty much. And the sheer artistic brilliance of its prose, its unique narrative structure, and its empathetic portrayal of deeply flawed yet relatable characters also played a crucial role in making it accessible and deeply moving for a global audience, allowing readers to see their own experiences reflected in the characters' struggles.
But at home, in Kerala, it faced not just censure, but even a temporary ban under charges of corrupting public morals. What was the real, deeper provocation behind this intense controversy in Kerala? Because corrupting public morals often sounds like a superficial charge, like a smokescreen.
You're absolutely right to question the superficiality of that official charge. While the ostensible justification for the ban in Kerala was indeed corrupting public morals, attributed to its incandescent and beautiful descriptions of sex.
Which are there, but...
Which are there, yes. But the real source of outrage was far deeper, more complex, and definitely more politically charged. Our sources are very clear on this. The true provocation lay in its cruelly ruthless, unjust, and unfair depiction and exposure of very specific and highly sensitive aspects of Kerala society.
So it wasn't primarily the sexual content that sparked the outrage then. It sounds like it was holding up a mirror to some uncomfortable truths about the society itself.
That's precisely it. The deeper reason for the public outrage and the resulting legal challenges and temporary ban was the novel's unflinching portrayal and pointed critique of internal family dynamics, particularly its less flattering depiction of some local villagers, and critically, its raw, honest, and sometimes harsh exposure of the dominant political parties in Kerala, including the communists, who wielded significant power in the region.
Ah, the politics.
Yes. But perhaps most profoundly, it was its raw and honest exposure of the deeply entrenched caste system, and especially the portrayal of the forbidden, tragic relationship between Amu and Velutha. That was the truly unsettling part for many, as it exposed hypocrisies and ingrained prejudices that many preferred to keep hidden or deny existed. It laid bare uncomfortable truths about a society that prides itself on its progressiveness.
And this wasn't just a brief skirmish. There was a prolonged legal battle over this book.
Indeed, the legal case stemming from these charges dragged on for years, creating a significant and often embarrassing dilemma for the courts and the local authorities. Ultimately, the ban was overturned by a new judge, validating the novel's artistic merit and its right to free expression.
Okay, so it was overturned eventually.
Yes. This complex reception highlights a fundamental tension. The one between official censorship, often couched in vague terms like public morals, and the very real, often uncomfortable truths a piece of art can reveal about a society. It also touches on the tension between local pride in an internationally celebrated author and local discomfort with the truth she had laid bare about her own community. It showed how much a society can be challenged by its own stories. When we connect this to the bigger picture, the novel's banning in Kerala, despite its superficial justification, serves as powerful evidence of the profound effectiveness of its social critique. It suggests that the most impactful and transformative literature often provokes discomfort and strong resistance, precisely because it dares to expose uncomfortable truths about power, hypocrisy, and ingrained social injustice within its own society. It forces a community to look inward, to confront its own shadows, and that can be a very challenging and often painful experience for those in power or those who benefit from the status quo.
Considering all these layers, the artistry, the themes, the controversy, how do you see the God of Small Things continuing to resonate with readers and critics years from now? Beyond its initial success, what is its enduring legacy?
Well, I think The God of Small Things stands unequivocally as a literary masterpiece, a work of profound distinction. Its enduring legacy lies in several key areas. Its intricate, nonlinear narrative, which really did redefine conventional storytelling and mirrored the fragmented nature of trauma so effectively. Then there's its richly poetic yet subversive language, which reclaimed agency from the colonizer's tongue and created this unique literary voice. And of course, its profound thematic depth, exploring universal human experiences through a specific cultural lens. It's a work that doesn't just entertain, it deeply engages the mind and the heart, leaving a lasting imprint.
And it's clear it's much more than just a personal story. It functions as a powerful socio-political critique that continues to provoke thought and discussion.
Exactly. Roy masterfully weaves deeply personal tragedy with a broader, unflinching socio-political critique. It meticulously explores the devastating, far-reaching impact of the caste system, the pervasive nature of patriarchy, and the insidious, lingering colonial legacy on individual lives. It brilliantly demonstrates how these big things, these grand, oppressive societal structures, manifest through the seemingly small things in daily life.
Right, bringing it back to the title.
Yes, creating a profound, nuanced commentary on the insidious, often hidden nature of social rules and their brutal enforcement. It highlights how these massive forces are felt on the most intimate, personal level.
So, in a way, it's not just a narrative, it's a form of advocacy, giving voice to the marginalized and bringing often silenced stories to the forefront.
It absolutely is. The novel transcends mere storytelling to become a powerful act of advocacy and a significant contribution to human rights discourse. It meticulously gives voice to the subaltern, that term from post-colonial studies for the oppressed or marginalized groups whose narratives are typically excluded from dominant historical accounts. By illuminating their experiences and exposing systemic injustices, it contributes significantly to social consciousness and human rights advocacy, forcing a global readership to confront realities that might otherwise remain unseen. Its enduring relevance lies not only in its undeniable literary merit, but also in its profound capacity to act as a catalyst for critical thinking, social debate, and collective empathy. It proves unequivocally that art can truly confront oppression, amplify silenced voices, and leave a lasting, transformative imprint on both literature and society.
For you, our listener, reflecting on all this, we invite you to consider this provocative thought. In your own life, what are the small things, the unwritten rules, the subtle social codes, the seemingly minor transgressions, or even the casual assumptions that might be shaping destinies, enforcing unspoken love laws, or perpetuating injustices around you, perhaps even without you fully realizing their immense, quiet power?
Thanks for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.